Hello and welcome to this video, and in this video I want to present something very interesting about pivot tables. And while I was learning Microsoft Excel, one of the best ways I was able to internalize much of what I do was actually to learn by questions and answers. And so today we've got 10 questions that we'll be looking at using just pivot tables to answer those questions. And we'll be using just one function anyway. Let me just disclose that. We'll be using one function to do some further analysis. And that's a function associated with pivot tables. And that is the get pivot data, which is more or less the lookup into a pivot table, and it looks up values and pulls them out. So we'll be looking at how to use that during the course of this video. And we will also be looking at some of the features in the pivot table that would find relevance in people, like if you do logistics, supply chains, if you do marketing, retails, if you work with big lists, when I say big list, I'm talking about lists that maybe something close to 1 million or otherwise. This video, you're going to benefit from it. So let's not say that much. Let us just dive in and start looking at them question after question and then solving them. Okay. So we have two data sets here. One is on data jobs. So I got it from Kaggle, and it's a list that is showing job titles related to data related jobs, the categories, salaries, employee, where they are resident at, and all of that. So it shows us all of this, and we'll be using pivot tables to do some analysis on this here. We also have the customer shopping data, and so we'll be doing further analysis with this using a pivot table. Like you can see, the tables are raw and with all of what you can think of in it. But pivot tables help us to make sense out of data. All right. So that's what we do. So let's look at the first task that we have to do. So it says, using a pivot table, create a list of company locations and the count of job titles to each of those locations. So let's see how we'll do that. So we're going to this place, and because we already have the table here, it has been prepared so that it could work with a pivot table. So I'm just going to come to my insert and insert here. And so I have this dialog box that is here. I don't want to put in a new sheet. I want to put in an existing sheet because I want to work with that sheet. So I'm going to tax 1, and I'm going to just start from this cell B8 and then just and this. So I've got a canvas for my pivot table here. And just in case you're looking at this and maybe checking it, you feel that, oh, I don't know how this comes about. So it's actually here. You just click in here. So you have options of the different types that you may want to use. So if I click on the first one, that looks more like what is the default that comes out. You've got these areas, the filter area, the cost column area, the row area, and the values area. And if this is okay for you, no problem, you can use this. But I just like this one where I have the list and I have more area for my list of fields, table fields, and I can pull them down to my right to any of these. So that's what really brings about that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is to just attempt to do this. So location, so I'm going to look through my and company locations here. So I want to pull it to the role, and I'm going to tell you why. So I have company locations, like I have this. It's quite long, and even if you're not told, because some people would say, how do I know if I should take it to a row or a column? Now, if you pull it to a column, it goes this way, and you need to scroll to look at whatever is happening. So the longer the items that are coming in, the more it fits into the row rather than the column. So fits like this, we can always scroll down and then see what it is. So we have the list of companies, and you see it has given it to us in a unique way. So let's go back to our task and see what things we have to do. So, and the count of job titles. Okay, so it wants us to give the count of job titles. Whenever it has to be a count, we need to pull something to the value area. So I'm going to pull job titles. Job titles is a string. So when you pull a string to the value area, it counts it. If you pull a value into the value area, it's going to sum it by default. So here it is. So we're able to see for each location and the job titles that each company location may have requested for or are having data related employees working for them. Okay, so it says the second one is use conditional formatting, identify the top 5 highest employers. So that's fine. So we can just select all of this conditional formatting, and we use the top here. So it's asking us for the top 5. So I'm going to just change this to 5 and hit my OK button. So what you see is that it's going to highlight the top 5, like the highest, employers of data related employee. That's what it has given to us. And it says sort the table to show the top 5 company locations. Now, to do that, even if you click in here, look through here, you really would not see that sorting thing and, around all of this place. But what it really, because a lot of things in pivot tables are actually in a right click. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to see my sort here. So I can sort in any direction here, but I'm just going to do largest to smallest. So if I do this, you can now see that my top 5 are here. You see, I'm able to get my top 5 here, and I know the countries that are associated with that top 5. And it says in another field, show the percentage of job titles over the grand total. All right, so what it's trying to tell us is that if we see everybody here, 900 and 9,000 355. So for all of this 900, sorry, for all of this 9,355, we are just going to show the percentage of each, the percentage of each over the total. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to like drag this here again. So if I drag it here, you can see that it's giving us the same, so we can always change this percentage uh, of uh, of total. So we can always change this one here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click. And when I right click, I'm going to say show values as, and so that's going to be the percentage of total here, the grand total. So I'm going to just click this, and so I see the number and I'm able to tell how many percent each of these locations have all over the total, the total being 100% here. So that takes care of this first tax. We are through with this first tax. Let's go to tax number 2. Okay. So here we are in tax number 2, and it says using a pivot table, show the count of job titles for each year against the job category. So let's try to understand this. I think one way you can, solve things like that is first go to the table, click on any cell, and hit your insert tab and get a pivot table running in. and existing. Was it? It's tax 2, and let's start from here. So we've got a pivot canvas here running for us. So it says show the count of job titles for each year. For each year. Okay. So I have the work here. I like to pull year to column so that it appears somewhere like this. And the job titles is going to be a count. So it's going to be in the value section, but job categories. So this is job categories. I'm going to bring it to the role. And so we have the job categories here, and we have these years here. So the count of job titles, okay? So I'm going to come here and pull this to the value area, and it's going to do a count for us. So this is the entire 9,355, and it's split among all of this. Quite an interesting thing that the pivot table does. You know, it's based on the dimensions, based on whatever you have in the rows and the column, is able to split the data and then give you the count of each of them. So it says remove the row grand total. So notice that I have a grand total for every row here, and I also have a grand total for every column here. But it wants me to remove the grand total for the rows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, while you see, if I'm here, I want you to just watch this place. If I click in here, I have these two tabs. Outside, I don't have them. Clicking in a pivot table just tells me that I have some other tools I can work with here. So I'm going to the design tab, and under the design tab, I'm going to see subtotals and grand totals. So for grand totals, you're going to see off for rows and column, on for rows and column, on for rows only, on for columns only. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click this and it goes out for all of them. And I'm going to come back and say for the columns only, have this. So I have succeeded in removing it from the rows. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is the number 3 task. Make a copy of the pivot table created above and paste one column away from the first pivot table. So it wants me to just take this, copy it, and one column away. So I'm going to be here. I'll paste it in here. So this is it. And it says in the second, that is in this other one, it says in the second pivot table, and the value area, this is the value area here, show the count of job titles as a percentage of the respective years. So what it wants me to do is that this is 2020. You get it. All of this should become 100% here. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is to just right click and here. Much of what we'll be doing in this video is about seeing how we work with all of these things. So here we are, and we're going to just come here and you would see percentage of column totals here. So I'm going to click this, and so you can see this is 100%, and the sum of all of this makes up that 100%. So that way, for each year, we're able to get it to be a percentage of the total of that year. So you have values here, that is numbers, but you have the percentage for them here. And so this can be very valuable in your analysis because sometimes you're not about the absolute count, but you're looking at how to get a percentage of whatever you're working with here. Now that concludes tax 2. Let's go to tax 3. In tax 3, it says copy both pivot tables in tax 2 and paste in this sheet starting from B8. Okay, we go here. We're going to just pick these two I'm going to just come here, select this, copy. So we come to tax 3 and from 8, okay, let's make it start from 8. Okay, so it starts from 8 there. Whatever it is, just for the questions, we could paste them just anywhere. You get it. But let's go with it. Says for the first pivot table to your left, and that is this one is to my left. It says create a slicer that can be used to filter the presentation by employee type. By employee type. Okay. For that reason, I may have to just add up some more rows here. And while I'm inside this pivot table, I'm going to just click on this pivot table analyze. And in some version, it's just analyze. You get it? So whatever it is, I'm going to insert in the filter group. I'm going to insert a slicer, and it wants us to insert a slicer, um, create a slicer that will be used to filter the presentations by employee type. So employee type, I'm going to just take this, and here we are. So we have this. Now, what this does is that we can click on contract, and we can see that everything here is all about contract. See, we can click on freelance, and this is just freelance for the year. Full time, we can be sure that the majority of that is in full time. Part time, and we are able to see. But do you notice something? Why this is changing? This one, it's not changing. So look at the next question. The next question says that associate the second pivot table, that's to my right, this one, with the slicer created in two above. So for this slicer, we want it to be controlled. We want it to control this pivot table and this other pivot table. Now, this is what I'm going to do. So click on the pivot table, and then when you look at your tab here, you're going to see slicer. So we're going to select this slicer now. And when we select the slicer, we'll look at this report connection. So we're going to click on the report connection, and here it is. And it brings this dialog box for us. So you can see that all the pivot tables or pivot tables, whatever you want to call it, pivot tables that we have been creating are listed all here. So you have the sheet tax 1, tax 2, tax 3. So you have 2 in tax 3 here. So, and the pivot table, rather the slicer is controlling just this other one here. So I'm going to click this one here. They are both in sheet tax 3. So I'm just going to click this one here and OK. And once I OK it, it starts working with whatever it's here. So contract, it tells us what it is. Freelance, it tells us what it is. Let me just take this out. Part-time, full-time, and it's able to tell us, it's able to change and control the two pivot tables. So this can be very, very important for you to use when you are creating reports, so that you can be specific, and you can be able to drill down to see what the numbers are using slicers, and then connecting these slicers together. In other words, associating or relating them together. So that completes tax 3. And let's go to tax 4. Here in tax 4, we are told to create a pivot table that shows employment type against work settings. So let's try to do that. Employment type, we'll go to the table, insert, from the range. It's going to pick everything, and we're going to tax 4 here, and OK. Now we've got the canvas for it here, and it says employee type. Let's go to employee type, and let's put that one. let me put it in the column and then let's see. And then work settings, and let's come to work settings. So this is exactly what we have here. And you might want to say, why didn't I do it the other way? Yes, of course, we can see what it is the other way. So it's going to be something like this, you see. So you have employee type and work settings. All right. So let's see if it will drive with the question. If it doesn't, we can always change it. It says create a slicer on the work here. Okay. So we need a slicer. Now you could insert a slicer here. So you can also come here and just right click on it, work here, and tell it to add a slicer. So it's going to bring this one here for us. Okay. So we've done that. Make a copy of the sorry, it says create a pivot table that shows the employee type against work settings. All right. So one thing I can do, because it's telling me to make a copy of the pivot table and paste 3 rows away. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, and I can just adjust this one. We can always scroll down to see whatever we want here, if necessary. So let's bring some values in here and work setting. We're just going to take this to the value section so that it tends to count everything here. Okay, so it's got the count of everything. So it says contract. This is the number here, and that's the grand total. You can always take away the grand total, though we're not told, but you can go to your design and take out the grand totals. Let me leave it for the columns so that we have it here, and make a copy of this. So I'm going to just copy this and 3 rows away. 3 rows away. Okay, 1, 2, 3. It could be any of them anyway. So it's just maybe so that you can see what is required. Okay, so we have this, and it says on the pivot table, show the percentage of the values over the work settings total. So work settings total, these are the work settings total, and all we just need to do is come here, show values, percentage of column totals. I'm just going to click this, and so this is what it is, telling us that about 94% is full-time, and they are hybrid, in-person, and we've got remote also here. So that's what this is. And so we can be able to see by this what each of them. So if I click on this, you see it's not connected to this. And so we can do the same thing that we did previously. Report slicer, we're in 4. So tax 4. Let's see. All right, good. So it's included it. And the reason why it's included it is because I've already created the slicer before I made a copy here. Okay, so for this it changes, and for 2023 it also changes, and it changes and gives us whatever it is. So that's for this tax, and that takes care of this. All right, so we go to tax 5. Tax 5 is an interesting one, and what it's telling us to do is that we should create a pivot table that shows count of experience level across years. Okay, so we're going to come here, insert, take this new existing sheet, tax 5, in here. Okay, and experience level. So let's find experience level. Let's bring it here so that we see the experience level. Yes, we take that to the column. It's better there. And the experience level, I'm just going to drag it again to the value. So yes, it's in the column, it's in the role area and also in the value area. When it comes to the value area, because it's a text, it just does a count. So here I'm able to see experience levels and for each year and so on. Have a lot of people in the mid-level here. Okay, so it says show values as percentage of group totals. All right, I can understand what's happening here. So um, it requires you to have groups in all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change, the structure of my pivot table a little, and all I need to do is to move this work here. I'm going to move it up here. So this is what happens. So I have moved it. I want it to be the first thing that is here, and then the experience level will follow. Now, let me take it out so that you can understand. So what I'm doing is simply I'm taking my year and bringing it to the row. So this is what we have for each of the year. So now, because we are told for groups like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the experience level. Where is it? Experience level. And for this experience level, I'm just going to bring it under this. So when it comes under, it lists the year first, and then for each year, you are able to see this experience level. If I take experience level at top, this is what you have. You have the experience level and you have the different years that there are. But it looks good if we do it this way. Looks much neat. We can see what is happening for each year and just like that. Now, the next thing it wants us to do is to show values as percentage of the group total. So as a percentage of the group total here. So if we have all of this, what percentage does it make of this that is at top here? That is what it wants us to do next. So there are two ways we can, there are two ways we can do that. Either we introduce another count, so we can bring this here, so you can see that they are the same here. But I'm just going to just right click on this and tell it to show values as percentage of parent role. So I'm going to tell you what it does. It says displays the value as a percentage of their parent item values on the rows. So I'm going to just click on this one for you to see. So you see, if I should select all of these numbers here, just look at this place. It shows you that it is 100%. So this is 100% of this. Everything here makes up. So this 28% of this, 5.6% of this 71, 40.85% of this 71, and it does it like that. Now it doesn't give us 100% here. Rather, what it does is says 71 is 0.6%, 0.76% of the grand total, of this grand total. And that's why you have this one here. You get it. So it's off this grand total. But at least we are able to see that within 2020, this is the percent of each of these counts over its total that you have here. All right. Let's look at the next one. The next one is actually testing us on the use of the GETPIVOTData. And let's see how we use that. It says use the GETPIVOTData function to dynamically look up and present a selected experience level, years, and the associated percent from the pivot table created. So if it is going to be a lookup, we are going to have the years like we have here. You can have 2020, that's year 2020, and we can have other years here. Mm. So we're having years up to I think 2024. Yeah, 2023. Okay. So these are the years. Let me just see if I can do this. All right. So the next thing that we want to do is experience level. So it wants us to, if you select an experience level, it should give me what it is for these different years. That is what it's trying to say. So for now, I'm just going to just hit this and just like entry dash level. Let's use this to do our analysis. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I could start writing the get pivot data function, but I prefer to just link to it because it wants me to get the percentage, associated percent. So I'm just going to link to anyone like this and hit my enter button. So what it does is that it gives us this. Can you see it? It gives us this thing here. Now I'm going to demystify it by, just coming down here, and then I want to break it like this. I'm going to break it like this. And to break it down, I hold down my Alt button and press my enter. And I'll break it here too and press my enter here. Okay. I'm just going to press my enter to break it there. All right. I would not prefer that. So this is the first one. Experience level is here. And then this one is, okay, we got to break it here. All right. And here, beautiful. Good. So what is happening here? This get pivot data first identifies the pivot table, and it takes the first cell in the pivot table. That is why you don't need to touch this one. And that is why you see that it's absolutely referenced here. All right. So the next one is the work year. What is the work year? It has taken the work year to be that of 2020. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to just connect it to this one. And so I'm going to copy it to my right hand side, you see. And in copying it to my right hand side, I want it to be moving. You get it? I want it to move. And so I'm not going to lock anything here. And then if you look at here, it says experience level, entry level. You get it? So I'm going to take this out, because remember we have to look them up dynamically. So I'm going to just click on this cell, but this time around I'm going to lock it because I want it to be looking at this cell irrespective of where it goes to. I want it to be looking at that cell. All right, so now I'm going to hit my enter button and it gives us the same thing. I'll present it in percentage, maybe just give it something like this. So you see, that's what it is. So I'm going to just copy it this way. You see, I'm going to copy it this way, and what you can see is that for each year, this 2021, you see it was 22030 and it gave us dynamically, and this one was 6.85. That's what we get here. So it gives us dynamically that way. And why am I bringing this before you? Is because you can actually, look up data from your pivot table and use it to make other reports that you might want to do. So for something like this, I can actually come here and let me just insert let me insert this. Okay, let me close this up here and bring this here. So what it is showing to us here, you see it has two series, and actually I don't want series. It's seeing these years as numbers, and that's why it is plotting it here. but that's not really what I want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take out that series 1. I'm going to take it because it's not something we want to plot here. You get it? So what I'm going to do is, while I select on this chart, I'm just going to go to Format. Under Format, I'm able to select any of the, chart elements like series 1. So you can see it has selected series 1. I'm just going to delete it because that's not what we want. So you can see the percentage is coming up here, and that's exactly what I want. Actually, we want the percentage to be on each of these charts. So I'm going to come here and just, data labels. So you can have them all like this. You get it? And I'm going to just take this out. Select it and take it out. But I want this to show the years. How do I do that? So I'm going to still select on the chart. I'm going to click on Design, Chart Design. So you're going to see this place where you have Select Data. So I'm going to click on this. So you see it here? That's not what's supposed to be there. So I'm going to just click and select this. Okay. Okay. And so you can see for each of the years, I'm able to see what it should be here. All right. I may not be interested in the grids because I've taken out this axis. So I can come here and take out the grids and name my chart whatever I want to name it, like this. And what should we name it now? Let's call it experience level percentage over years. Okay, so anything much appropriate can take care of things. So you now have this one here. So what this means is, if I should have executive here, it's going to change and show me what the executive would be. So much of you might just know that you could come to data here and data validation, take a list here and come to the sources and maybe select all of this. And so here, let me just give it a color. Let's just give it this color. So here I can now select executive. I can now select entry level and it changes. I can select senior level and it changes appropriately. So much for tax 5. Let's go to tax 6. But right here, you can see how you can, produce dynamic reports from pivot tables. So here we are in tax 6. In tax 6, it says create a pivot table that shows experience level against average salaries across years. Okay. So what we're going to do again, we're going to go back to our data and here and insert a pivot table and go straight to this sheet here. And so the canvas is here, and what they want us to do is experience level. So you have the experience level here. I'm going to just take the experience level to the rows, and the years, we're going to take it here. And sorry, not to the filters, to the columns rather. So we have this view, and then we're going to bring salaries in USD so that it's all in USD. So this is what we have here. We could format it so that it would be good to see with the eyes. So here it is. So we're saying that entry level um, salaries, this actually is the total that you're looking at here. But they want the average. So I'm going to just right click on this value area. Right click on this value, and here we're not looking at the show value as but summarize by. Instead of sum, we're going to use the average. So this is about the average. So in 2020, 2021, and this is what it is. I really do not need we really do not need the grand totals for this. So we're going to just go to design, take out this grand total all through. So it says shows the difference from the previous year. So now I haven't got this in this place. I can right click and show values and different from. You get a different from. I'm going to click different from. I'm going to come in here. So let's bring this here. So I'm going to come in here and work here. I don't want the difference in experience level, but for yes. So I'm going to take this previous. There could be other things that you can show difference from, but I'm just going to say from whatever is the previous year. And I'm just going to say, okay, so this is what happened. For 2020, we don't have a previous year, so it's not able to do any count because for 2020 it has no previous year, so it doesn't do any count. But you can see that for entry level there was a drop in 2021. There was an increase over the previous year in 2022 and yet another increase in 2023. So that's what you can see in all of this. So you can see, was there a drop, was there an increase or whatsoever. That is what this helps us to see. And that's for tax 6. Now, if we go to tax 7, it wants us to use the customer shopping table. So what we're going to do is to bring in the customer shopping table here as a pivot table. So we click here, click any cell, insert, take this, come from table range. We want to take it to an existing worksheet. So I'm going to take it to sheet 7. And there we are. And there it is. So it says show categories against invoice date. Show categories. Where are the categories? We have category. Okay, category. Let's bring that here and see what it is. Okay. And against invoice date. Take out all but the year field so that it is only categories against year. So what they want us to do, if you look at this invoice here, you will see it's a full date with day, month, and year. So if you come to the pivot table here and move this to the columns, you see it's going to have these 3 here. It's going to have year, quarter, and all of this. So what I'm going to do, I only want the year, so I'm going to take out the quarter, I'm going to take out the month, and I will just leave just the year. And I do not really need this, so that leaves us with just the year. Okay, so we have these 3 of them here. Now it wants us to continue. It says remove the grand total. Of course, we know what to do. We just come here, take out the grand total. So grand total is away. And it says create a calculated field named revenue using the price and quantity. So we do not have a field called revenue. We have price, we have quantity. So while we're here, we need to create a field for revenue. So if you go to the pivot table analyze, you just click on this place, calculations, calculated field. We can actually get a revenue. You get it? We can actually get a revenue, and revenue is going to be equal to quantity. I double clicked it, multiplied, sorry, shift 8, multiplied by price. So you can also do insert, and it brings it in here. And so that creates it, and that brings it into this place. So what has happened is that we now have, like you can see here, we now have these. So we have those revenues coming from each of them, like you can see here. And the next question is that introduce a slicer for year and select only year 2001 and 2002. All right, so you will see that 2003 looks quite low. Um, the reason is that we have very few months for that of 2003, so you might not be able to make good comparison with it. Whatever the case, we know how to insert a slicer, and let's just go from here. The slicer is going to be for year. Let's look at it. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what we have here. I don't know why these are there, but anyway, um, we have the years there. So we have our slicer here now, so we can click on anything. It shows the first, second, and third. But we're told to select these two, 2021 and 2022. Now, for you to be able to select more than one, you need to click this place here. So it's multi-select. So if I click this, it allows me to select multiple, ones. So let me just unclick and 2021, click this one, and then 2022. So I've been able to select those two. It says show the incremental amount over the previous year of 2021 for all categories. So that's easy to do. We'll just come here and use our show value and the difference. We're using the difference. We're going to use year, so it's previous year, and hit our enter button. So we're able to see what is the change. Books increased, clothing there was a decrease, increase, decrease, increase, increase, increase for all of this. And you can also do it in percentage so that you can see what is the percentage increase that came with it. So you can always do it like that. Let me just copy this, bring it down here, paste it here, change this one to difference, percentage difference from our previous year. There it is. So we can see what it amounts to. So there was a 13% increase here, a 4 point something percent drop here. So you can see that the absolute value looks big, but that's just a 4%, 4.1% drop and all of that. So you can be able to see this in this analysis. So let's go to the next tax. We're going to tax 8, tax 8. So definitely we were going to introduce pivot table. I'm going to just do it. So by now we already know how we introduce a pivot table. I'm going to my shopping, click on any cell, table, existing sheet, and go to tax 8. Okay. Oh, tax 8. So I'm supposed to not only click on tax 8, but click on a cell, and that should work. Insert a pivot table canvas and show category against years and months. Okay, this is what it wants to do. So it's something related to what we did before, but this time a little different. So categories, I'm going to bring categories here, and I'm going to bring stick categories here. Let's have them here. And then we're going to have the year coming first here. So we have the different years that you have here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the months in. So I'm going to bring months here. So you can see that we have 2021, we have 2022, and we have 2023, just like this. I guess that is what is expected of us. Insert, am I right? Against years and months. insert a slicer to do so. Yeah, of course we can insert a slicer for the year. Where is it? Yeah, inside the slicer, we have this. I'm just going to reduce it here. And 2 years still, multiple select. So we're going to just select this. Sorry. Um, and this. Yes, we're selecting those two because 2023 is not a full month. And then what they want us to do is to show the values as a percentage of difference between the previous years. So what values are we showing? Show pivot table and canvas category against years and months and so on. So I want to believe that revenue is what we should be bringing into values. Can bring this one in. And so want to show a difference month on month. So I'm not going to format it yet. So what it wants is show values as the percentage of the difference between the previous month. Okay, so we're going to come here and show values. Different, this time it's percentage, and we're going to pick this. We're going to pick month, previous month, and we just say okay. So this is what it is. So here you are able to see January does not have a previous, so it uses this to see was there a decrease, was there an increase, so you can see month on month. You can be able to process your data and see month on month, was there an increase, was there a decrease? And remember, you can use the get pivot data to look up values here and present your report because you might not be looking at 2 years, 3 years, and all of that, but you can pull out the appropriate months using the get pivot data function like we learned in a previous task. So that completes this tax for us, this tax 8. And we're here in tax 9. Tax 9, insert pivot canvas, shopping malls against categories. Okay, let's do that. Insert. So no, that's wrong. We need to go to the table. We need to insert here and existing sheet, and we go to 9, tax 9, choose a cell to start from, and there we are. Okay, now while we're here, it says shopping mall categories. All right, so what do I do? Which one is more? Let's see the shopping mall. Shopping malls. Let's get the shopping malls to rows and the categories. Categories, we're going to bring that to column. So we have this here. Bring in revenue in values and format numbers if necessary. Remove any grand totals. So revenue comes to this place. So what this is actually showing us is that each of these shopping malls, these are, the revenues that are coming in. So we're going to just format it. So these are the revenues that are coming in. So let's see what is next. Remove grand totals. We know how to do that. Design here, off, and everything is off. We don't have grand totals again. And then it says that we should, a slicer again. This time a slicer for year and category. That's easy to do. Here, insert slicer for year and also pick category. There we are. So we have 2. And I'm just going to put this here too. Let's have it in there. So create slicer for year and category. Select 2021 and book from the slicer. So we're selecting book and 2021. So what we have here is just for 2021. So it says show the values ranked from largest to smallest. Okay, so what we do here is we can just come here and show values ranked largest to smallest. So we do this, and then we're looking at it based on shopping malls. Yeah, let's use shopping malls. It actually ranks them and shows us that Mall of Istanbul is first, and second is Kenyon, and 10th is some Emma Square Mall and all of that. So in other words, with this, you are able to tell which shopping malls give me the most amount of money based on books. So if we go to clothing, it's going to still give us cosmetics. It's going to still give us this. And let's go to beverages. So Istanbul seems to be giving us the most shoes. All right. And here, so Kenyon has the first here for souvenirs now, followed by Mall of Istanbul, technology, okay, and whatever, my toys. So we now have this as the 10th. So it's able to give us these for these different categories in these different ways. So this way you are able to rank. You're able to rank whatever you want to rank in your analysis. So that takes us to task number 10. Task number 10 is somehow, it says, what product category gives us the most revenue? Now it's an open question, and based on what we have been learning, we'll try to find a solution. So first thing is we need to just bring in our pivot table here, and insert here and here, and go to tax number 10, and then let's start from here and here. So what categories gives us? So we definitely will need categories coming in. Let's put it in rows, and we definitely will need the revenues attached to this here. And in total, yes, we could use this to determine what has given us the most revenue. But sometimes we might want to see it based on different years. For this, we would have been able to just do a rank and see which gives us the most revenues. You get it, like, looking at them and trying to find out which gives us the most revenues. Here we see that actually clothing brand gives us the most revenues. But did this change over the years and all of that? So we might say, let's bring in year into it. And I'm going to take the year to the column here. So you can see now there is quite a split. We have different things here. We have them different. Take out so this, we're not being told what to do. We're just trying to do what we think would answer this question. What product category gives us the most revenues? So we want to try to see it maybe by year. So 2023 is not a full year. That already tells me that I most likely need a slicer for year. I'm going to put this here so that I could select each year and be able to see which is giving me the most. So what we can do at this point is actually I haven't gotten it this way. We might want to introduce a pivot table that eliminates this one and let's bring in um, the rows, yeah. So that's the grand total. So we would be able to see this one here, and it gives us whatever the totals might be. And so what we can do after that is we do a kind of sorting. So I'm going to come here, right click, and we just sort from largest to smallest. So you can see here that the clothing tends to give us more than any other, followed by shoes, and so that goes together. And then technology, and so the list is souvenirs. So the list here is souvenirs. So this can actually be used to, show which gives us more when it comes to whatever that is being sold. I think this answers the question, and this is just one way we can learn. So 10 questions, and we have seen how we use pivot table to solve each and every of these 10 questions. I would be putting the spreadsheet. I would have the spreadsheet for data and customer shopping in the links below, so that you can be able to download them and then follow up with each of the questions and see if you can replicate what we have done so far to improve your skill in pivot tables for data analysis. Thank you very much. I'll see you in another video.